Okay, this is the vlog for June 3rd, 2018. And I started doing something yesterday, and I thought I might actually include it in the vlog, but the sunset was too nice and it brought me down memory lane, so I decided to focus on that. However, uh, a couple of friends of mine have been talking up a manga recently called Komi-san. I think the full title is something like Komi-san wa Komshu Shuryo Desu. Translated, it means Komi-san has a communication disorder. And it is about a girl with social anxiety. She's very beautiful. She appears very graceful. She's quite talented at scholastic and athletic endeavors. However, she has a crippling fear of speaking to others. So a lot of people think she's just too good to talk down to people. But the truth is, when she gets close to people, she freezes up and she can't figure out what she's going to say because she's afraid she's going to upset them or look embarrassed. Or anyway, it is delightful. It is very readable, and even though I got started last night, I am 60 chapters into it already. I found it online. It was linked to me by someone. I think it was in Manga Dex. I still say manga, even though I took Japanese for years and I know that it is manga. But I'm American and I still pronounce things incorrectly from time to time. Speaking of American things, I've never read Komi-san before, and I'm having a lot of fun with it, but I have watched an old, I hesitate to call it old, but it's more than 5 years old at this point, animated program called RWBY, RWBY, which is much more famous. It's put together by the Rooster Teeth people who made the Red versus Blue cartoons based on the Halo video games. And it was the brainchild of a man for whom I had infinite respect named Monty Ohm. Monty was an animator who made a few videos. The first one that caught my attention was called Haloid, which was the meeting of Samus Aran from Metroid with a Spartan cyborg from the Halo video games. It was only about 4 or 5 minutes long, but it was action-packed with amazing fight choreography, the likes of which I had never seen before, and I was instantly hooked. I must have rewatched that a dozen times over the next couple of days, and then I went looking for Monty's other work, and what he had done was a lot of sort of fake fighting game videos, where he basically created characters and had them fight as he intended, and you know, it was framed like a fighting game sort of thing from a side point of view, but it was all customized animation that he had done himself. And within a few months, he would release his first Dead Fantasy video, which was a crossover between the characters from Dead or Alive and the characters from Final Fantasy, specifically the women from Dead or Alive and the women from Final Fantasy. And those were a huge hit and got him a lot of recognition, and that enabled him to do RWBY. So I should say I am a bit of a hipster about this. I don't really actually know that much about animation, or rather the making of animation. Certainly I don't know how to do 3D animation at the level that Monty was able to do. But I was a big fan, and I was heavily invested in RWBY as the trailers came out and it got closer and closer to being completely released. And I really enjoyed it. It was they were very short episodes, and they were only coming out once a week, which was a little bit frustrating considering how long I had waited for the show to even begin. But that frustration was nothing compared to how I felt when Mr. Ohm passed away from an allergic reaction to a medicine he'd been given for something very similar to what happened to Heath Ledger and Bruce Lee many years ago. So Monty Oum passed away, and when he died, the investment that I had just sort of soured. I didn't like watching it because it reminded me that he would never be able to create anything so cool and wonderful ever again. And that was painful. But it's been about 5 years now. Well, I think 3 years since he passed away. But I'm not as hung up. Importantly, the people at Rooster Teeth picked up the torch, and they sort of knew what Monty had in mind, and they've put their own spin on it, and I'm interested to see what they did, because if anything, the popularity of the show has only grown over the last 3 years. All my friends love it and talk about it, and one friend in particular continually posts images, fan art of the RWBY gang, and I finally, I've got a lot of free time right now, and like I said, the original episodes are only about 6 minutes a piece, so I can get through a season in an hour or two, which is really cool. When you're trying to get caught up and you can binge watch like I'm doing. So I'll probably do that tomorrow. I've got my job searches that I need to do for my unemployment, but after that I'll have plenty of time to get myself caught up. And when I'm done with RWBY, or probably intermingled with watching RWBY, I'll be seeing what happens to Komi-san next. But yeah, anime and manga. That's what my day has been. For those of you working full 9-to-5 jobs, don't be jealous. I'm not getting paid to do any of this. I am slowly watching all of my savings. Just, I need to start making money from the unemployment office just to be able to afford lunch. I've got a few more weeks that I could go without, but I'd rather have some money by the time this break is over than be bankrupt. And that's all for me. I'm Eric Spornitz, and tomorrow will be better.